A guy who is hot is going to be perceived as funnier. He's going to be perceived as having a better personality, as more intelligent, even if he isn't, more likable, even if he isn't. And they've done some really silly studies here. I mean, it's terrible, but they've put photos and biographies, kind of like a dating app, and mixed and matched them to try and determine the effect of looks versus personality. And there was a study on women where they did this. There were moderately hot guys, there were hot guys, and not so hot guys. And the personality changed whether the hot guy or the moderately hot guy was preferred. But no matter what, the not hot guy was not preferred. Personality mattered if a guy was hot enough. So the guys who were very unattractive, they were rated as having worse personalities than they would have if they were hot, and they were rated as less dateable overall than the hot guys. It is just one study, but there's other studies that converge on this idea that if you're past a certain level of hotness, then personality makes a difference. But if you're not attractive enough for a person's standards, then personality, it might matter, but it doesn't quite make a difference. Because it's so funny, I'll share the second part of this study. They had the women's mothers come in and were like, choose someone for your daughter to date. And you'd think it's like, gosh, I mean, the mothers are surely going to pick based on personality because they don't have to be with the guy physically, one would hope. And yet they went through the same selective pattern as their daughters. Now, from a social perspective, this is pretty hard to get your head around because it's like, well, they don't have to sleep with their daughter's boyfriend, so why do they care what he looks like? Right. But from a basic sexual selection perspective, right, from a biological perspective, it's like, well, that's their grandchild that they're talking about. And so they have to care about the same things. For the same reason that one might want a good-looking husband to have children with, you'd also want a good-looking man to help produce your grandchildren.
And you do that because then your grandchildren are more likely to have children. That's the reason why. It's sexy son's hypothesis is what they're talking about there. Anybody?
Even grandma knows.
Anybody here?
I would say I feel like every single one of us were made hot. We weren't born hot. Like we had to create this image. Like I'm a product of everything I thought was hot. So I wasn't born hot. Neither were any of us. Like,
I think you can be a really attractive girl and not care that much about your looks and be like 21 and be super hot. I don't even think it's a mentality. I know a lot of guys who find some very vapid women to be very attractive. I don't think it's the same way. I think for men, you're right. I don't think it's the same thing.
Well, if we're talking about a 21-year-old Amish girl, I mean,
a 21-year-old Amish girl can still be beautiful.
I see where your type is, Michael.
That's hilarious.
It's not the Amish
You
girl.
only knew, 21-year-old
Amish girl.
That's what I like. Yeah,
Yes.
We all have our kinks. It's okay.
He likes the milk. He likes the milkmaids.
You know what my kink is? Heterosexuality.
Yeah.
That's my kink.
Yeah, it's gonna make a comeback real soon.
You know what my fetish is?
If you have
Having
to
sex
say
in the
that
bed
out
with someone
loud.
very attractive. That's my fetish.
Yes.
It's this new thing
you
I'm
ain't about
trying.
that. You're not about
It's
that
so
gay
wild.
shit. I see.
Well, I mean, we saw Alvaro's before and after pictures, right? I mean, you know, now that where he's at right now, he had to develop himself into the physique that he has.
Exactly.
Right now.
He was- yeah.
Yeah, men must become, women just are.
Yeah, but what that guy was saying in the video was that you're going to be perceived as, funnier or smarter.
Well, they don't even get to the personality part unless you pass a certain level of hotness, and it's spelled H-A-W-T.
I don't think it's all external validation. I think it's, when you are in better shape and you look better, you're way more confident.
Yeah, I think that's.
You're way more.
I'm sorry, honey. While I agree that
You're way more
is
confident.
part of
You're
it.
more likely to
There's so
talk.
many confident dudes who are not attractive, and you wouldn't give them the time of the day. Well, maybe you would, but most people wouldn't. They're rich. Like
If they're
how tall does the guy have to be? $5 million. What color does his eyes have to be? $5 million.
Looks are the easiest thing to change.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I've always said
agree.
your charming personality and your great sense of humor and your six-figure income doesn't make you look any more attractive with your shirt off. Simple as that. It's simple biology. It's simple evolution. And I love this part. Like I've said this on a different podcast, my own podcast, where people will ask me, well, what do you think about looks? How you always talk about all you game guys, all you PUAs, all you guys, you just think it's about game and you think it's about confidence and you think it's about this, which is important, but you don't get to that. And I've said this, I don't know how many times, to looks maxers all the time, who are saying like, oh, it's just about looks. It's just about looks. And yeah, it is. That's the barrier to entry. But once you get in there, then you've got to be able to seal the deal, right? It's the first thing on the list, but it's not the only thing on the list.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that I think a lot of guys really can't wrap their heads around, because they think that it's just about looks and not about looks plus personality, looks plus confidence, looks plus God knows what else.
You're 28% body fat as a man, and you're like blaming women for not liking you, and then going to Colombia to fuck prostitutes and calling yourself a passport bro. Like that's like, how about lose the weight first? How
It's
about
more
lose
than
the weight?
28%. Let's be
more than
real.
that. 30% body. And then you're blaming women, and it's like, no, dude, like you can just also not be fat. You can also have facial hair that accentuates your jawline. You could also, I have no problem, dudes who want to get the hair plugs, do it. I don't, fine, do whatever. The beard transplants, whatever, do whatever you got. Go to Turkey and get all the transplant. I don't care. Get lipo. I don't care what you do as a man. My point is, like, there are ways for you to be at that minimum level of attractiveness if you really want to try to do it. And it's so often where I hear, like, the best example ever is the ultimate pill guru, which is Wheat Waffles, who's actually a good looking. Wheat Waffles is better looking than me. Wheat Waffles is better looking than me, and this guy is sitting there talking about women don't give a shit about him because he's not attractive. I'm like, no, dude, your attitude is horrible. You act like a complete narcissist who's depressed all the time. That's what you sound like. That's the reason why you're not doing well with women. It has nothing to do with your looks. That's crazy. So often when I hear the guys complaining about looks and I look at them like they're not that bad. Look, you know what's so confusing? When we're watching Adolescence and that boy's like, I'm ugly, and I'm like, that is a good-looking kid.
Yeah, he's going to
turn
into a good-looking.
That kid right here is going to be a good, like a tall, good-looking male. You notice how he was taller than his dad in the show? That kid is going to grow. That kid is going to grow up and just be some stunning man who all women want to be with, and he's supposedly playing some kid who nobody wants to be with. I'm like, it's not nobody wants to be with you, dude. It's that you're 12. Chill. Everything's fine. Yeah. It's no one wants to at 12. Chill.
You're good.
It's fine. You know, I'm serious. I mean, yeah, some people do, but then we don't want to. Yeah.
It's like Alvaro was saying. It's like it starts here, right? It's the mindset before anything else, right?
Yeah, that's to create the consistency for.
Yeah, exactly. So you can say, and by the way, what's your body fat percentage right now?
Oh, maybe 10.
He's off season.
I know. He's off season.